Today I'm gonna talk about the movie review of the film Interview with the Vampire. The film Interview with the Vampire Chronicles, based on the book written by Anne Rice and directed by Neil Jordan, is a classic suspense and horror film, since the release considered cult and emblematic. The feature film brings the history of Louis de Pont du Lac, a vampire played by Brad Pitt, who is being interviewed by Daniel Malloy, played by Christian Slater. During the interview, Louis tells the history of his life from the moment he became a vampire in 1971. He starts by telling about when he was still human and narrates the fact of losing his wife and daughter during childbirth. With this, when he found himself desolated, in such despair, did anything that could lead him to death in order to end that suffering. Despite being open to countless opportunities to find death, Louis can only choose it when he was followed by a vampire named Lestat the Lincourt, played by Tom Cruise. Lestat makes him a simple proposal. Either Louis accepts to become a vampire and keep company from him, or Lestat will give him the death he so desires. After Louis' decision, he is transformed into a vampire, something which prevents him from realizing his desire for the death. The plot can be basically divided into three parts. The first, already mentioned, where Louis tells the end of his human life and the beginning of his life as a vampire, together with the emergence of Lestat. The second part is where the life of a vampire develops, in which Louis refuses to drink the blood of any human. Until the moment he is already hungry, he sucks that of a girl named Claudia, played by Kirsten Dunst, who had lost his mother. In the sequence, Lestat makes her drink her blood and turns her into a vampire, thus beginning the appearance of an extremely important character for the development of the history, and who was inspired by the daughter of Anne Rice, who had died a while before Anne Rice wrote the history. Finally, the third part will be the Louis and Claudia's trips to Europe and mainly in search of meeting other vampires, but they didn't know that this could be the great ruin of both. There is something about the plot that sets apart from other films in which vampires are present. There is no focus just on being a vampire. The character Louis is melancholic. He always regrets having become what he has become. Two people in the film will ask him to become vampires, and he has no intention of transforming any of them, as he keeps the human side with him. In contrast, the film demystifies many histories about vampires. The vampires present don't die with stakes in their hearts. They don't fear religious symbols like the crucifix or something like that. Just bring a tone of reality, something like what would it be like if a vampire really existed, which is a positive aspect of the future film. In addition, another positive aspect is the soundtrack of the film, that received nomination for Best Soundtrack, that brings fidelity to the facts and reality to the moments, whether of love, seduction, sadness, or even hate. And by the way, the famous rock band Guns N' Roses was present with the cover of Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. The music plays during the final credits of the film. Finally, I consider it a good film that, as I said, brought the experience of something like what it would be like if a vampire existed. In addition, the actors were impeccable. The personality of Lestat, Louis, and Claudia, always very explicit, brought reality to the film. And finally, the soundtrack that brought fidelity to the moments. And now, final remarks. In addition to everything already mentioned, there is a curious fact. To play the vampires, the actors were forced to stand upside down for 30 minutes to do the makeup. The idea is that makeup artists can trace the veins of the cast in order to bring a more translucent skin for makeup. And finally, it's known that the role of the reporter who interviewed the vampire should be played by River Phoenix, Joaquin Phoenix's brother, but he died of an overdose before the film began. That's why the film is dedicated to him. And that was the movie review of Interview with the Vampire.